The moment Zaria Morales tried to buy milk for her child, every card in her wallet didn't just fail, they screamed, declined, not once, not twice, but everywhere. Banks frozen, digital wallets locked, AI monitors watching every movement like silent guards. And for the first time, Zaria understood a terrifying truth. When the system collapses, survival isn't legal. It's personal. That night, cash wasn't just useless, it was illegal. And a mother who had always played by the rules suddenly faced a choice: obey the system or save her child. If you've ever wondered what happens when the world goes fully cashless, stay here. This is the night one woman's courage became the only currency that mattered. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and get ready, because this story might become your reality sooner than you think. Zaria had always believed she was prepared, a mother with routines, a journalist with instincts, a woman who trusted the smooth hum of digital convenience to keep life predictable. Her fridge was stocked through auto deliveries, bills paid by automated drafts, and her kids tucked into bed under the soft glow of smart lights that dimmed on schedule. Everything worked, until the night it didn't. The headlines she brushed off, cash bans, digital compliance laws, security upgrades, suddenly felt like warnings she had ignored for too long. Her first failed transaction came quietly, just a soft buzz and a red error message she assumed was a glitch. But when the second one failed, and the third, something cold and sharp slid into her spine. Panic doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, slow and creeping, until it wraps around your throat. She tried her banking app, frozen. Digital ID, inaccessible. Grocery credits, under review. The promises of convenience she once praised now stood over her like towering walls. She stared at her darkened screen, pulse thudding, knowing she wasn't just dealing with a technical issue. She was facing a system that had quietly tightened its grip, and she hadn't even noticed the chains. Every store, every checkout, declined. The sound became a haunting echo that followed her from counter to counter, like a verdict stamped onto her existence. People around her whispered in low, uneasy murmurs, their eyes darting between her and the scanners as though digital failure were contagious. Each red flash felt louder than the last. Her child clutched her sleeve, small fingers trembling, sensing the fear she was trying so desperately to hide. Zaria swallowed hard, her heart hammering against her ribs, because she finally understood what the news alerts had really meant. The law hadn't just changed society, it had redefined survival. And anyone who faltered, even by accident, was instantly treated as suspicious, rebellious, dangerous. The city, once vibrant with the convenience she adored, now felt like a cage made of glass and circuitry. Cameras watched, drones drifted overhead, doors unlocked only by digital identity, the same identity she no longer fully had access to. But Zaria wasn't just a mother in crisis. She was a journalist who had spent years exposing systems that hid behind polished interfaces. And standing there, with her child pressed against her leg in a store full of strangers pretending not to stare, she remembered something important. Machines could predict behavior, but they couldn't predict instinct. The city was digital, cashless, automated, but she still had something the machines couldn't compute: human ingenuity born from fear, desperation, and the fierce determination of a mother who refused to let a system decide her fate. She exhaled slowly, eyes narrowing with resolve. If the system wanted to lock her out, she would find a way in, one way or another. Zaria pushed through the chaotic aisles, her heart pounding in rhythm with the alarms blaring overhead as every payment terminal froze mid-transaction. People abandoned full carts, shouting at dead screens, arguing with clerks who had no answers left to give. Children cried, adults panicked, and the once ordinary supermarket felt like the opening scene of a disaster film. Her daughter's tiny fingers dug into her arm, trembling. "Mama, what's happening?" Zaria forced a breath, steadying herself, refusing to let fear swallow them whole. She moved from shop to shop, pharmacies, gas stations, corner stores, all useless. Terminals rebooting endlessly, ATMs blinking red, phones spinning, an entire city glitching into paralysis. But Zaria wasn't new to survival. She remembered the whispered rumors from neighbors, hints of back alleys where old bills still had power, and of bartering rings run by people who never believed in the digital dream. Cash wasn't dead, it had just gone underground. And tonight, it was the only lifeline left. She pulled her daughter close and whispered, "Stay quiet, stay behind me." Every step felt like choosing a side: trust the system that had already failed, or trust the shadows she had once avoided. Her pulse quickened with a strange mix of dread and determination. To make it through the night, she needed more than luck. She needed courage sharp enough to cut through fear, quick thinking faster than collapsing networks, and a secrecy she hadn't practiced since her own childhood. If the world was slipping into digital darkness, Zaria would find the last pockets of light hidden where the system couldn't see. Night settled over the city like a warning, thick and suffocating, as Zaria slipped into the narrow back alley she had only heard about in hushed rumors. Moonlight barely touched the cracked pavement where people gathered in shadows, trading crumpled bills like forbidden relics from another era. There was no shouting here, no chaos, just quiet desperation. Every face looked over its shoulder. Every movement was cautious. Zarya stepped forward, clutching her daughter's hand, her other hand trembling as she showed her digital proof of need, the last verifiable trace of her situation before the system had collapsed. A man in a hood nodded, slid a worn pouch toward her, and inside it, paper bills. Real ones. She counted each note with shaking fingers, feeling the weight of survival in every crease. This wasn't just money anymore, it was breath, warmth, safety, everything the digital world had suddenly failed to give. But the danger wasn't gone. The AI networks, half frozen yet still alert, continued scanning, watching, and recording. One wrong move could mark her as a threat, a system breaker. Her daughter looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes, trusting her completely. That trust felt heavier than any currency she carried. Zarya tightened her grip on the little girl's hand, guiding her away from the alley, each step echoing like an act of rebellion. With every beat of her heart, she felt the truth. The system no longer cared if they lived, survived, or simply disappeared. So she would care enough for both of them. Every step into the dark was defiance, a silent promise that she would not let a broken digital world decide their fate. Hours dragged by like slow echoes of danger, each minute tightening around Zarya like a vice. Fear and exhaustion wrapped themselves around her, squeezing every breath, sharpening every sound. The distant hum of drones, the flicker of failing streetlights, the shuffle of hurried footsteps, everything made her flinch. She kept her daughter close, her hands small and warm in Zarya's trembling grip. The little girl didn't fully understand. She only knew her mother was scared, and that was enough to make her cling tighter. Here, in this narrow world of shadows and whispered trades, law and life had collided violently, leaving families like they're stranded between danger and necessity. The digital world that once promised safety had turned its back, leaving them to navigate survival with paper bills and desperate hope. Zarya's mind raced. Who could she trust? The hooded traders who dealt in silence? The strangers who hid in doorways waiting for a chance at food? Or her own instincts, sharpened by fear, softened by love? She weighed it all, every risk, every breath, knowing one wrong choice could unravel everything. Her daughter leaned against her, eyelids heavy, trusting her completely. That trust steadied Zarya more than anything else. She couldn't fail. Not tonight. Not when the world outside had decided to forget them. In the dim light of the alley, with shadows stretching long and uncertain, Zarya understood. Survival wasn't about systems or technology. It was about grit, courage, and the fragile belief that tomorrow might still be theirs. By dawn they returned home, exhausted, shaken, but breathing. The city stood exactly as before. Digital, cashless, efficient, and painfully cold. Screens rebooted, terminals blinked awake, and drones resumed their silent patrols as if the night's terror had been nothing more than a glitch. But Zarya knew better. In her trembling hands she held the real reason they survived, small wrinkled bills that meant meals, safety, and life. Paper that shouldn't matter in a world of biometrics and QR codes, yet mattered more than anything. Her daughter clung to her side, trusting, unaware of how close they had come to losing everything to a system that only cared when it worked. Zarya's breath trembled as the truth settled into her bones. When the networks died, the rules died with them, but humanity didn't. Technology is a tool, but humanity is the backup. And in the silence of the waking city, she finally understood that this backup might be the only thing keeping them alive. We built a world of convenience, screens, and algorithms, a place where every tap promised ease, every swipe promised control. But tonight that world faltered. When the system failed, it wasn't servers or apps that saved lives. It was courage, quick thinking, trust, and yes, a little old-fashioned cash clutched in trembling hands. Would you have the instinct, the bravery, and the grit to survive when the law punishes you for stepping outside the digital rules? When every device you trusted turns against you, it's the human spark. Intuition, resilience, connection. That becomes the lifeline. Share your story below. Subscribe to Zelly Digital Dilemma because in a world run by code, humans are the ultimate backup.